Hey fellow music fans, welcome back to Psychology of Rock. If you're new here, my name's Nina, and today we're talking about one of my absolute favorite bands of all time, Type O Negative, and doing a complete lyrical and philosophical analysis of the song Green Man from October Rust as it relates to the psychology and personal experiences of frontman Peter Steele, who of course not only wrote these extremely poignant lyrics, but also referred to himself as being the Green Man. So I think it's safe to assume that the song itself is at least somewhat autobiographical. And while I think there are many Type O Negative songs in which Peter shared his perspective and experiences in an almost vulnerable way, I don't think there's a song that is more of an embodiment of who he really was as a person and the lens through which he saw the world. I think we can understand a lot about his personal philosophy through these lyrics. I've always just resonated with this band so deeply, and Peter specifically, and I know this is the case for many of his fans. I think so many of us feel like we have a personal connection with him that still exists even though he's not here anymore. It's like we can identify with him as a person and the struggles that he was going through, trying to understand and accept himself. And although I do think that many people misunderstood him or just didn't get him or questioned some of his quotes or writings, it is my personal belief that there were many, many admirable aspects of his personality, and I have not heard differently from even a singular person who actually met him. Everyone in every account that I have ever heard has said that he was polite, funny, extremely intelligent, down to earth, and that he never acted like he was better than anybody else. He is someone that I would have loved to have met personally and had a long conversation with, but unfortunately I never had the opportunity, even though I was fortunate enough to discover the band early on, so I was able to see their shows on many, many occasions. And I always felt that Green Man was even more impressive live. Now, quickly before we get started, I do want to say that this is just my own personal analysis. I'm in no way trying to speak for the band, and like any song, there can be, of course, multiple interpretations and valid meanings, including whatever the song means to us personally. So please keep that in mind. And also, before we dive into the lyrics, I want to briefly talk about why Peter was called the Green Man, the mythology behind the term itself, and a few of the underlying themes that I see represented in the song. So let's go ahead and start with Peter. Now, before he began touring with Type O Negative, he held a job with the New York City Parks Department, driving garbage trucks, dump trucks, and steamrollers. The title of the song really has two meanings, but the first is inspired by the local kids calling Peter the Green Man because of the green jumpsuit that he wore when he was working. In fact, the intro part of the track actually includes the sound of a garbage truck recorded into the song, but the title also references a timeless symbol of nature's resilience, which is the archetype and the mythological figure of the Green Man. He's usually depicted as having a human face that's surrounded by or composed of foliage, which we see in the artwork for the single of the song. The Green Man is said to represent a connection to nature and the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. And while some people believe that he represents a specific pagan god, there's no real evidence to support this idea. It's more about the symbolism of the archetype itself. To me, the song seems to hit upon several themes, which we will talk about shortly, but I think the repeated refrain of "I'm the Green Man" represents the core of the song, which seems to be Peter's self-identification with the cyclical nature of nature itself. So let's go ahead and look at the first verse. He says, "Spring won't come, the need of strife, to struggle to be freed from hard ground." To me, I think the idea of spring's delay suggests that he's waiting patiently for renewal in his own life, just like all other aspects of nature. And the need of strife refers to his acceptance that effort is required to pull himself up out of challenging times, just like flowers need to push themselves through the frozen earth so that they can eventually bloom. He then says, "The evening mists that creep and crawl will drench me in the dew and so drown." To me, this shows a sense of being overwhelmed by nature's vastness and power, and that he understands that he's part of this cycle for good or for bad. And then we get to the chorus of I'm the green man, which again I think is just him reaffirming his identity. It's almost like a mantra where he's establishing himself as the green man and his personal connection to nature as core to who he really is. It then shifts into verse 2 where he says, Sol in prime, sweet summertime, cast shadows of doubt on my face. So Sol is the Roman sun god, which represents the peak of summer. But what's interesting here is that although sweet summertime sounds positive, the lines cast shadows of doubt suggest internal struggles and a feeling of uncertainty. Now the next line is, a midday sun, its caustic hues refracting within the still lake. Here I think the stillness of the lake might be implying a sense of being alone, or it might symbolize a lack of movement or growth in his life. But then he goes back to his mantra of I'm the green man, where he continues to affirm his oneness with nature and his endurance despite his challenges, because he knows that all aspects of nature are part of the same cycle. We then get to the third verse, which is my absolute favorite. It says, autumn in her flaming dress of orange, brown, gold fallen leaves. We all know that Peter loved the fall and October specifically, and the song Green Man comes from the album October Rust. And I think these lines are just showing his adoration for the season and its mystique and beauty. Also, autumn is a season that can be seen as representing decline, death, and transition, which I think hints at the inevitable arrival of winter, but also eventually another rebirth, which is something that he is waiting for. He then says, my mistress of the frigid night, I worship, pray to on my knees. I think here that he's actually personifying autumn as his mistress, kind of showing his fascination and intimacy with nature's forces and his very special relationship with this particular season, which I think many of his fans share, myself included. But I think it's also a recognition of the idea of beauty in decay, which is something that we see in many of his lyrics. Now the last verse starts with the lines, winter's breath of filthy snow, befrosted paths to the unknown. To me, I think this is just showing his acceptance of the harshness of nature, whether it be the caustic hues of summer or the filthy snow of winter. I also think the filthy snow could be alluding to him driving the garbage truck through the snow and it no longer looking pristine after human intervention. I think the concept of unknown paths once again symbolize his feelings of uncertainty and the idea that he's unsure where he's really heading in life. At the end of the song he says, have my lips turned blue-purple, life is coming to an end. So says me, my Wiccan friend, nature coming full circle. I think Peter seems to be acknowledging his mortality here. I think the reference to a Wiccan friend is interesting, and it might suggest that he is considering this belief system since it is focused on nature's cycles. I think the last line here emphasizes his acceptance of death as part of the natural world's ongoing process, because he knows that there will be the arrival of a new cycle, and that will give him hope for the opportunity of rebirth. The song then concludes with a final repetition of the chorus, which I think just solidifies his view that he is inseparable from the cycle of nature. It is such a powerful and intimate song, and I really do feel the essence of Peter in the raw honesty, complexity, and beauty of these lyrics. I think it shows that he wasn't afraid to confront his own darkness, and I've always felt that it was therapeutic for him to write and share his struggles and to connect with others who really understood what he was going through and could relate to it. So those are my thoughts on Green Man, but I would love to hear yours, so don't forget to leave them down below. Also, don't forget to check out the Typo Negative playlist that I have linked in the description box. I will continue to add to it. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's analysis. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you have not done so already. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.